What's going on, guys? It's your boy Big Blue Drew 97 here to talk to you about Nanatsu no Taizai, the 7 Deadly Sins, manga chapter 323, titled I Am Here. And if you can just look in the background here and here, I have moved to a new place. That's kind of the reason why this video is a little bit later. I'm starting a new job, starting a new schedule at a current job that I'm working at, basically becoming an adult and still posting videos on YouTube. But hopefully y'all can enjoy this manga review of the 7 Deadly Sins. I think that when it comes to this, basically what has been building up in the past few chapters is about to come to a head, because the past few chapters, if you have been watching and reading, has been mainly like action packed, has been a lot of action, has been a lot of basically the characters beating up the Demon King and the Demon King retaliating. But in this chapter, it slowed down a little bit, and I think that was a good thing, because we got to get a little bit more interactions between Zoldatros, Meliodas, Gother, and Zoldatros' girlfriend, who I forgot her name, so I'm just gonna call her the Vampire Queen, because that's basically what she's going to be, the Vampire Queen. So we actually start off this chapter with a cool like panel of just Zoldatros basically like in just like somewhat like high school attire. He's smiling, he looks like a good boy. Zoldatros is a good boy in this image and is probably best boy in the series. But after that, we soon cut to what we saw in the previous chapter, which is Gother and Meliodas facing Zoldatros and the fake hopefully if I remember correctly, Vampire Queen. So yeah, I'm just gonna call her Vampire Queen, because I'm probably not gonna know her name, because she's only come up within 7 Deadly Sins within like the most recent 20 chapters at most. So yeah, so basically the fake Vampire Queen is like holding Zoldatros hostage, and you just have Meliodas and Gother like Zoldatros basically telling him to wake up, and he's just unconscious because he's basically like caught in this literal and figurative web of dreams. So you then just have Meliodas for one large scream saying Zale, and this is actually the moment that like kind of wakes him up, or like kind of gets him to start waking up, and then he finally like wakes up and is coming to realize like, where am I, like what's going on, like what is happening here? And then Meliodas is just like, yo, we came here to save you. And what immediately happens next is like it's like basically save me. He literally says, save me, are you out of your mind? Because like the idea is like you're like Meliodas is like crazy to come into this world, because he's like, instead of just coming to the world, like he even Zell brings this up, it's like go back to the real world and like just kill him in a way. But then you just have basically the idea of like, you have the Vampire Queen is like, what it's like you can't listen to him, he's crazy, he killed me, remember, he's a sinner, he will betray you again when I'm the only one that truly loves you. And it's like he responds with, I know, I have known that you are not the real Gilda. And like it is like, so basically the idea is like, he knew that you weren't like the Vampire Queen. Was it? Oh, her name is Gilda. Ah, there we go. I'm still gonna call her Vampire Queen. So yeah, he realizes that the fake Vampire Queen is fake, obviously, because apparently based off like her saying I love you, he's like, yo, she would never say that. Like, which I don't think it's like they didn't love each other, but it was like the kind of relationship where they don't say, oh, I love you, oh, I love you, just that it didn't seem like, apparently they didn't have that type of relationship. And she keeps like building upon that, just like, I love you more than anyone. And then he brings up like, yeah, but she would never say that. So like she just gets caught in this web, and then she just fades into just a skeleton eyes and says that, you fool. And then it looks like Zoldatros is about to get freed. And like they both both Meliodas and Gother run at Zoldatros, but then like within like a split moment, there were just multiple Zoldatroses around here. And what's weird enough is that it's basically like one of those like choose the right one scenario, and if you don't, you basically lose. And this is established more by Gother, specifically when like he brings up, like when Meliodas brings up the idea of like, oh, I'll just cut down all of these strings by using my sword. And Gother just, before even Meliodas is able to cut the string, jumps in front of Gother, and Gother then touches Zeldatros. And once he does that, he just begins to fade away out of consciousness. And while he's doing this, he's basically explaining to him like, yo, you have to be careful, because if we were to touch the wrong one, we will be seen as an infectious disease, and we will be forcefully leave this leave his mind. And so Gother basically sacrificed himself to make sure that Meliodas knew this, because Meliodas is always hot-headed and just jumps into action without thinking. So this like basically prevents him from doing this. And then it also allows us to cut back to the real world, where we see the Demon King, Escanor, we see Bond and King, we see them all fighting against the Demon King. And like, the Demon King, it looks like he's not holding back. And like, he has like small like patches of blood around him. And then probably the best part about this, I think, is like King's face, not King's face, but like Escanor's face. And it just looks like a face of like despair. But it looks like it's just like Escanor in his like weakened form showing in his pride form. I think I just really enjoyed that, because it shows like his character turning 180. But in reality, it is because the Vampire Queen is literally biting the neck of the Demon King. And like, without missing a beat, he grabs her and rips her head clean off her body and then chucks her into the water. And at that moment, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, she is dead. And like, it comes even to the point where Diane is like having her eyes covered, because it was just like a brutal scene. And Bond is like, how can you do this? And the Demon King is like, yo, he's evil. But then in the background, you just hear this voice, and it's the Vampire Queen's voice. And like, you just see Diane's face. Like, the best parts about this is Diane's face, like having just like an expression of fear, because she just sees a floating head and a body, and the head just attaches. And she basically goes to explaining, it's like, yo, it's very hard to just kill a vampire. Like, you remember that. And also the fact that she drank the blood of Zeldatros is like, oh yeah, he strengthened me now. So yeah, I'm gonna be very hard to kill. Basically, she says this in like a like sarcastic way. Like, she's like belittling him. And then he responds with like, that attack was useless. Like, you couldn't really even like have damaged me. And she responds again with like, she didn't mean to bite you to attack you. She did it to like enter his mind, where you just see the Demon King's eye just widen open, just seeing your eye just doing this like, because he realizes that he is in trouble. And as soon as that happens, we cut back to the real world, where Meliodas is looking around saying, where's the real Zeldatros? Where's the real Zeldatros? And Zeldatros is telling him, just kill me. Just go back into the real world, defeat my body, and kill me. And basically Meliodas is like, no, I'm not gonna do that. And then right at the moment where like Meliodas feels guilty, he just hears like hears basically the Vampire Queen just following out, and like it is very an impactful moment, because basically Zeldatros is like thinking like, yo, I'm going to die, like just do me a favor and please go back and tell Gilda that he loves her, basically, because it's like, yo, just kill me, but at least tell her that I love you. And then immediately after that, she's like, why don't you just tell me this yourself? Like, that's basically the premise of, she wants to hear from him. And then it cuts to that she will find him. So Gilda has entered Zeldatros's body. So, like I said in the previous chapters, she's gonna come back, and she's gonna play a decent part in this story, for the most part. So in this case, instead of like Meliodas being the one that finds Zeldatros, it's gonna be the one that loves him the most, which is going to be the Vampire Queen, aka Gilda. Or Gelda. I'm just gonna call her the Vampire Queen. So yeah, when it comes to this chapter, it wasn't like anything extremely impactful, but it is a breather from just all like the hardcore action. that we have been seeing in the past few chapters, and we got to see a little bit more development of Zeldatros and Meliodas' relationship. How like basically Zeldatros is like saying, "Yo, just defeat me," and like in the very end, just tell the woman that I love her. And it's also like a little bit more of like understanding like the personality of the Vampire Queen Gilda a little bit. Not, I feel as if like this would be a better chapter if we had just known a little bit more about Gilda beforehand. Like if we had known more about the relationship beforehand, if we had known about the relationship between Zeldatros and like how their interactions would have been if we had known this better, because then we would have caught on to the idea of like, oh yeah, we knew it wasn't her, but it would have been like a little bit more obvious. It's like, oh, it's not her, and like he probably knows it's not her, because it's like, as far as we thought that he knew, but it could have like gave us a little bit of a, oh, maybe he does realize or doesn't realize, because like they've known each other for so long. So all in all, I think it was a fairly good chapter. If I would rate it, I would probably give it like a 3.5. And 3 is just like really average, so like a 3.5 is like slightly like above average. So I think it was a good chapter, but I don't think it was something extraordinary. So hopefully in the next chapter, my thoughts is that we will do another chapter focused solely on basically Zeldatros, Meliodas, and Gilda, or the Vampire Queen, and like how they three will be able to basically like get out of there together. And I don't want to say that next chapter we're going to see basically a Lancelot, but not Lancelot, but I think it's Lancelot. Basically, we need to see him like before this series comes to its complete end, at the very least, because like he's stuck in the stone. The sword stabbed within him. Apparently he's dead, but like his body is still in him, so he has to have some life in him. So I feel as if like we need to find out that before the series ends, because it's approaching its end. And I think that we're going to have a strong focus on Meliodas, Zeldatros, and the Vampire Queen in the next chapter. So hopefully y'all enjoyed this review, and hopefully I will be able to catch y'all later in the next one, and hopefully I will have a different setup for this.